Okay, welcome to this episode. So today we're going to look at how we can translate our tiled map into C# code. So just to go through this again, we have set up this map with various things like floor decorations. If there's a pit somewhere, doors, wall decorations such as hooks, grates, wall actuators like sconce and fireball launchers, things like that. Champions, of course. Staircases, we've got one down here. Writing on the walls. Alcove items, there's one alcove down here which has got a scroll in it. Floor actuators, these are footplates you tread on to activate nearby things. And finally, floor items, things that are left on the floor, food, keys, other items. So there's a lot of stuff in here, and as we know, that produces an XML file which describes all of the map. So you've got grids of simple walls and of puddles and other things on the floor. Then the rest of it are object layers, and those have all these properties and things. So there's a lot of stuff that we need to get through. Now, in order to translate this into code, my thinking was that this is basically a 2D array. So we've got, in this case, was it 19 by 20, something like that. 19 rows, 20 columns, or the other way around, it's not too important. And each one is an individual unit. So I decided to call this unit a cell, so that each cell would become an object, a cell object, and its properties would include what type of walls it got in it, whether it's got a door, whether there's what's on the floor, what's on the ceiling, whether it's got a champion in it, whether it's just an empty space. So there is a kind of a natural flow between having a map like this and then creating a series of cells. All the stuff's on GitHub. I'll get that out of the way. I'll come back to that in a minute. So what I've decided to do is to produce a console-based kind of test application so that we can see how it works. How can we create some code that will translate that XML map into objects, and how can we walk around the map to see what's in there before we start getting into the graphics and so on that we would need to use Monogame. So this is the first one. This is the cell object. Let me just shrink that down for a minute. So when you look at the cell object, it looks relatively simple until you realise that I've dropped it down into regions, and it's actually 278 lines for one object, so it's a fair amount. So I'll just go through what kind of things that we might want in our cell objects. So here's the public properties. Now, a lot of them are dictionaries for the simple reason that each cell has a north, east, south and west wall, and so we need to describe what is on the north, east, south or west wall. If I go back to the map and we take, for example, wall, let's take wall writing. Okay, so we've got this one here. Then on the north wall we've got the writing here that says Hall of Champions. If we take a floor item, let's choose a floor item, I think that one will do. So we've got an apple in the northwest corner. most of these use north, east, south and west, though just this one, the items on the floor, does use the north, east, northwest, south, east, southwest. So let's pick another one which is let's say wall actuators. There we go, and we've got I think the sconce was one down here. Yep, there's one. So we've got a sconce on the east wall. So you can get the principle that we've got 4 sides to store things on, with the exception of the floor items, which is northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. The rest of them are northeast. So we've got a dictionary for each of the items in alcoves, the champions, the walls themselves, so that you know which type of wall is on each side of the cell. Wall actuators, then the wall writing, and of course doors. So those are fairly obvious properties that you might want of the cell. Then of course you've got things like the X and Y coordinate of that cell, the ceiling type. Now the doors, I've got what's called a door object key here, which is a string reference to there is a doors dictionary, but that one holds what kind of thing you've got, whether it's a door track on the north, or a grate, or a wooden door, or whatever. So this one holds the kind of description of the door, whereas the door object key and similarly the floor object key are used to store the string keys of floor and door objects, which are in different classes over here. So we'll come back to those in a minute. Floor remote cells I'm not using in this application, which is why there's 0 references, but that would be used to kind of store a list of any, like if you've got a footplate in a cell and you tread on the footplate, which other cells does it have an effect on, and that could be stored here. You've got a boolean, is this a staircase? Then you've got a point, where does the staircase go to, which cell in there, also which level, so that you might have the stairs going up or down, so you would give the next level number there, and then the wherever the stairs end up on the new floor, you would have the coordinates stored in a point. Also a boolean is traversable. In other words, if it's a solid wall, it's not traversable. So that can be set for each individual cell. So the properties are fairly self-explanatory, so we'll just reduce that back again. Now there's some static ones here, so just to go through this for those of you who perhaps are not at this stage over familiar with how classes work, but with a normal class such as this, if you create, as we're going to do, a huge batch of them from the map, then you're going to have hundreds possibly of cell objects, each of which will have individual different properties. They'll all be of this type, but the actual values stored in there are going to be different for each cell. Now the purpose of static properties, static variables, is that these are used throughout the entire class. So if you set, for example, this string facing as south as a cell class property, every single cell that you make will have the exact same static property there. So the good thing is you can use this by setting it in one cell, it stays the same for all. So obviously it would seem sensible to have the direction of the cell, which way it's facing, which way the player is facing, what's on the left and what's on the right. So these are set as just a compass point, and then we have a static method here, which will this is a static property here, player facing, which you can have gets and sets on, just like you would in the normal properties. But these, as you set it, are going to alter these other values here. Again, this is class wide, so the static setter here changes the properties for all the cells that you create with just one call, so you don't need to go iterating through all your objects to change this one property. Just change it once and then it's done for all. So that's what we'll be using there. So that's the static side of it. So you've got which way is it facing, basically. Right, let me get that out of the way. So that's the static properties. Just a private string here, string array of directions, again just to help with the code when you are using it. You can look up, if you are giving an index, you can look up, this is obviously index 0, 1, 2, 3, to find what you want. Now the two functions here, one returns a string list of all the data in the cell that the player is standing on. So this, I won't go through it too much at this stage, but everything in that cell, whether it's the floor type, whether it's got a door in it, everything that you might want to know about which is inside the cell is returned as a list. Similarly, we've got this other one which is a list of wall data. That is, it will only give what is available on the side that is selected. So for example, if we wanted to know what is on, let's get my map up, if we are standing, let's say we're standing here in the roughly at the beginning, and we want to know what is on the side here and the side here, we can, or in front of us, we can use that call, go back to the code here, to get the side of what is on either the ahead, left or right of the player, and again send back data about what's on the wall, the decorations, whether it's a solid wall, whether it's an empty cell, whether there's writing there, whether there's a champion there, and so on. So this will give back some of the data that's on the cell here. I'll go through the rest of it in a moment, but I just want to show now what it looks like when it's running. So we'll hit the play button here. Right, so you've got this console application. Let me get the background out of the way there. I will keep the map here. Yeah, so this is set so that we start in this area here where this black area is here. So it tells me they're in the current cell 2, so 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, so we're just here. We're facing south, so we're looking down the map here because obviously the north is at the top, and we're looking at the north sides of the walls. So for example, if we take this writing down here, it's the writing on the north face of that wall that we're looking at as we move down. So we're facing south, looking at the north faces. In here we've got a door. So if I click on the door, let me just get that lined up again. Doors, I think that was the door. Okay, we'll get that back in. So we can see that the door has a button control. The frame is a frame button. It is toggled and it's open. So here it says the door is black. It's open. It's false. It's not breakable. Toggled true. The door control is a button, and the control location is at 0, 0, which means that it's not got a location elsewhere. 0, 0 means it's on the door, so it's not listed as anywhere else. Also, if we look ahead, we've got a cell with coordinates 2, 3, which is an empty cell. So 2 across, 3 down is this one. It's got a pressure plate on it, but it's not got anything in it. To the left, now we're standing here looking downwards, so our left is this side and our right is this side. Again, we've just got a solid wall, so it says wall, wall. Okay, let's move forward. So the keys to move forward are either the up arrow W or the number pad number 8 key. back is down arrow and so on. You can see what the instructions here. So I'm just going to make sure I'm active on this grid here. Oops, moved it out of place. And we will check the up arrow so that we're moving forward. Now we're now on cell 2-3, which is of course this one, still facing south, still looking at the north side of the walls, and we've got here a floor actuator. There it is. The target for this floor actuator is x equals 10, y equals 1. So this obviously has an effect on 10 across, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, starting at 0 of course, so it's this one here. And 1 down, so it's actually activating this plate in here. This is part of the trap on the original Dungeon Master, whereby if you came back to this point with the fire staff and stood on this panel, you would be ejected into this pit here. When you stand on the pit here, fireballs and poison and things will destroy you. So that was a nice little trap that was set in the original Dungeon Master game. But anyway, that's beside the point. So it's telling us all the details about that floor actuator, including that we need a party size of at least 1 in order to activate it, and also that there is a ceiling here above us of type pit. Empty cell ahead, normal walls to either side. So I'll just step through now a bit more down till we reach this point here, just in front of the writing. So if I press the down arrow, the up arrow again, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, and there we are. So we're now standing here in front of the writing test, and it tells me that the writing on there is, this is line 1, this is line 2, this is line 3, this is line 4. Okay, let's go back to the wall writing, and we'll choose that one, and we'll go back to our map. So as you can see, on the north face of the wall writing, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 lines separated by semicolons, and this has been correctly interpreted to tell you what's on that wall. Now the next thing I want to do is, I'm standing here facing the wall, I want to turn to go up this corridor. So as I turn, the writing should appear on my right side. So I'm going to turn, which way we're going to be? We're going to be turning left, aren't we? Yep, let me just do a turn left. Press the key here. Now facing west. I turned the wrong way, so I shall turn again and again. As you can see, the writing is swapping from one cell to another as I turn. So I'm now facing this way, and the writing is on my right. Empty cell ahead. So you can see how this very simple console application is doing the job. So I'm going to now scoot round to this point here by going ahead 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and I've got the wall in front of me here. I'm now going to turn that way, so we've got a wall to my side here, empty cell here, and empty cell ahead, and I'm going to go up till we stand on the floor that's got the slime in it. So we go forward, 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 there we go, floor slime. So we're now standing here. So as I think you get the idea, we're just using a simple keyboard, a simple text description, but we're checking out whether everything is working or not. So just a couple more for demonstration. We'll go forward once more, turn right, forward once again, and we're now standing on the puddle. Forward again, turn right, forward again, turn left, forward again, turn right, forward again, and we are now standing here by the champion Iardo. So if I turn round and back again, yep, there we go. So I actually accidentally walked through the wall. This doesn't stop you from walking through the walls, although I could have set that by checking whether it is traversable and not allowing you to go through. That's something I might do later, but it proves the point. You can go through. We're now standing here and we're looking at the first champion, which is Iardo, and we've got empty cells on either side, let's go and look quickly at the writing here, and I think we'll call that a day as far as the demonstration is concerned. So I'll turn left, forward, forward, left again, and there we go. There's the writing in front of me here, Hall of Champions, as it says there. So I think you can see how this has been quite effective as a means of testing out a dungeon without getting anything else set up apart from a simple console. Obviously the coloured writing has made it a little more complex, but next we'll look at the code in more detail. I just showed you the cell class just to see how this all works.